Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? We're not going to have people in for a second because we just started stream, but I know a lot of people watch this back, so I always like to welcome everyone in, you know what I'm saying? So I haven't streamed consistently for a while because of school and because of busy, but today I just wanted to basically go through some of my boards, do what I do anyway when I'm not on stream, and then also go through the top 50 because I think that would be interesting and I want to. So here we have the top 50, not in order because shout out ELFpedia, shout out ELF Network is the one that does it with First Time Magazine, but a lot of people message me and they think that I was involved as well, but I wasn't. Which is fine, I don't really need to be because it gives me more content to look at, and also I don't think I really would have had the time to go through everyone. But why is that? Did the thumbnail not change? Hold on. Let me just quickly make sure that the fucking thumbnail's actually changed. Why is the thumbnail not changed? Should be fine now though. Right, there we go. Thumbnail has now changed. Cool. So, back to what I was saying. I was not involved. I didn't need to be involved. I didn't necessarily want to be involved because it would be more fun for me to look back at and do a bit of a review. So, if I had a ton of people in, I would do like a where would they be over under. But I'm just going to kind of give my opinion and then people can watch it back because I know a lot of the players will watch this back as well and see where they were. Because some will be annoyed, some will be happy. This is just going off the dome, more so of what I remember from the season, rather than like any statistical stuff. And then as we get into the boards, we'll just be maybe watching a bit of tape, find some highlight reel stuff that we do. Just stream for a couple hours, just to touch base. I haven't been making like proper videos for a while, so let me put this on the thing, on the gram, as well as on Twitter. I don't really like Twitter. Honestly, if it wasn't for having to have it, I probably wouldn't. It's not a fan. Okay. Let me put out First Out Magazine too. We are live. Top 50 review. And filling out boards. Cool. Right, now let's actually put out, I can properly start, because that's always the bit at the start that always takes forever, but we also need to wait for some people to actually come in if they wanted to come in early. Anyway, let's start with number 50. As per usual, Tony Anderson at 50 was not ranked in 2023. I would definitely say that he's a top 50 player. And obviously, this isn't just like in terms of quality, this is due to the season they had as well. He played nickel, was strongly influenced to the fire season. One of the best European DBs we have. The most versatile for a European DB we have. Had a less of a play. Like he was a little bit injured in the playoffs, so you could definitely tell. But I think top 50 is definitely. I think that's about right. I think that's reasonable. Jay and Embry at 49, interesting one. He had a really good start of the year, and then he got hurt, and then he came back and he was good again. I probably, was he above Tony in terms of games? I doubt it. This is kind of what this is going to be as well. It's just like, do I remember this correctly? I think he played 8 games, and I think Tony played more, so I probably would have had Tony above. But Jalen is a very good player. Embry. So Jalen played 8 games, including the one when she was hurt. 4 interceptions as well. So he had a few like that. One against Sapphire taken away, which definitely would have been something. No, it doesn't count, but even still. Right, Tony. How many did Tony play? Yeah, so Tony played 12. So I probably would have had him above. Just me. Ludwig, 48. I definitely had Ludwig higher than 48. He was an all-star. One of the best players in the league. is definitely one of the best Europeans. I would have had him above 48, especially because last year was 19. I know Berlin had a bit of a quieter year, but I'm a little bit surprised that he is at 48. I would have had him probably a little bit higher. Maybe around the, honestly, probably around the 25 to 30 mark. So I'll just make sure no one's coming in my house. Isaiah Weed, 47. Fair. Let me check his numbers. I know that he didn't have the best of years in terms of the start, but I need to think in terms of quarterbacks. Was he like a top 5 quarterback? I don't think he was, in my opinion, because we had Edwards, Chad, Riley, Jacob, Ben Holmes. I think all of those were better, and Duncan as well. Yeah, I think as long as we see all those guys, I'm not opposed to it. I think that he probably is top 50. Because he did have those flashes of like incredible play. Robert Lachman, he had a slow start. I remember waiting for him to break out, and he did break out at the end of the year, and I thought he would be a bit bigger than he was at the start of the year. When he came out, if I remember correctly. Yes, who's her? Or am I thinking about it the wrong way around? Yeah, so he got a little bit, started to heat up, got hurt, came back, and had a couple of games, but wasn't as reliable. I probably wouldn't have him in the top 50, just due to the big gap in the middle of the season, personally, but he's an outstanding player. If you watch Robert, he's a great player. So I'm not against it, but I probably wouldn't have him on my top 50, just due to the injuries that he sustained throughout the year. Botello Moreno, 45. I probably have him. I can already see all of the comment sections and the thing about Lewis. Botello Moreno, he had a quieter year in terms of like statistics, but in terms of his importance to the team, I still think he was probably the second best tight end in the league, other than Florian, because Florian came in later, but Florian was more impactful because Botello Moreno had all the QB issues, so it's not really his fault. I think he was also massive in the red zone, especially on those 2-point conversions. Like, he was huge. So 45 is a bit, I think that's fair considering his quarterback issues, but I'm not too mad at it. Robitaille 44, I think he's a little low. I feel like he got nearly 1,000 yards. I think he got about 800, 900, didn't he? So, maybe a little low, but there's a lot of great receivers this year, so it's kind of hard to narrow it down. Yeah, Robitaille got 953 and 9 touchdowns. I probably would have had him a bit higher. Yeah, I would have had Robitaille probably around a little bit higher, but he was not around last year because he got hurt, but I would have him a little bit higher. So let's, great season, young, very talented player. I think that he's got such a bright future. I'm actually going to do a thing about the Vienna Vikings linebackers. Noel messaged me about it. He's like, are we still getting that? I'm like, yeah, you are, but just give you a minute. Still sorting some stuff out, but Talitsa and Swanko I both expect to be on this. And I think 43 is pretty fair. This one was a controversial one. Garrett 42 is not something that I would agree with. I know that he didn't have like a massive year into his numbers. Where was he at? Like, he was definitely around the top. There he is. So he had 854 yards, which is very good. Played 12 games. Some of the games he was a bit quieter, like against the Raiders. When they lost, he was very quiet because Devin Taylor's such a good player. But he also had 13 touchdowns. Probably is the best red zone receiver potentially in the league. Him and Reese Horn are both excellent in the red zone. But I think Geyer is for me quite a lot higher than 42. I would have had him around, last year was 45. I probably would have had him around the top 15, maybe top 20, just because he was so good. Top 50 at homegrown is damn good. In his position, I have a lot better in imports, so he's good ranked. No, because it's based on their season, not their quality as a player, but I hear what they're trying to say. Vidagani, 41, I'm having higher. You know how much I'm a fan of Alessandro. Fantastic player. I would have had him higher than 41. Offensive linemen don't get stats, which is a big shame, but he's one of the best in the league, so he, for me, would be better than 41. And he was on an O-line, one of the best teams in the league as well, which always helps. Right, Ben Straight at 40. I think that's... Was he an all-star this year? I feel like he was. ELF 2024 all-stars. I feel like he was an all-star, but I might be wrong. Because, yeah, Guy was an all-star. Where was he at? Yeah, so he was an all-star. I probably would have him at about 40. I think 40 is reasonable. I'm not too opposed to that. Zach Blair at 39, I'd have below. He had a great start of the season, and he was massive for Milan, but then he got hurt quite early and then didn't play the rest of the year. When he was on, he was great, but I don't think that he's not above Lewis. He's not above Ben. No disrespect to Zach, he's a phenomenal player, especially on special teams. But he just didn't play as much as these other guys, so I wouldn't have had him. Yeah, he played in 10 games, so a little bit more than I thought. But I'm not having him above an all-star safety and an all-star receiver, personally. Chris Malumba should be higher. One of the best D-tackles in the league. Don't forget, the Surge have one of the best run-stopping defenses in the league, I'm pretty positive. And he was like the main reason why, and people just never talked about him. And probably the most like underappreciated fucking player in the league for how good he is. Former Colorado player. Spent a few years over in the CFL. Came back and dominated. And because it's interior line, no one saw, which was sad. Lucas Holub, 37. I'll probably have a bit higher. I think so I haven't finished my offensive line like grading. I will get to it at some point with Holub's tape, but if I remember correctly, he is one of my highest graded offensive linemen, and he probably will be on that list. And he was also one of the best players on one of the best offensive lines, so I would probably have him higher than 37. Hugo, tackler machine Dyrol, 36. He was an all-star. I think he led the league in tackles. No, when I say led the league in tackles, I'm not counting AJ. It's like when Steph Curry broke the 3 record, and then Harden, I think this week broke was like second place. Everyone's like, well, he's first because Curry doesn't really count. It's the same when it comes to tackle stats. Because AJ's just in its own realm when it comes to that kind of stuff. Let's have a look. So total tackles. Okay, so he's third behind Jonathan and also AJ. So third in tackles, all-star. I think that's reasonable to have him that high. Maybe a little bit higher, because he's probably one of the best European linebackers this year. So I'd have him a little bit higher than 36. Okay, going up. Florian came in late, so I actually think that this is fair. Because Ben Holmes, you can't see it. Hold on, let me move myself. Ben Holmes wasn't too happy with it. No disrespectful. I have to disagree with Ben on this one. Because Florian did come in a little bit later. He was great when he came in. Fantastic. Probably the best tight end in Europe. But he did not play all the games. How many plays did he actually play? Where is he at? There he is. I feel like he played about 7 or 8. Yeah, 9 games played. So he started, and then he got hurt, and then he came back in for that half of the year. And then also, it says the games played, but 0, 0, 0, 0, so he didn't really play in those ones, didn't get any action, so he realistically did not play that many games, and when he did play, he didn't have anything over 100 yards. This game was huge against Paris. That was like a phenomenal performance. He actually had a good run all of these weeks, but only 1 catch, 2 catches, 3 catches. Started to heat up towards the end of the year, because he was on the IPP, he got hurt, and he was going through all that stuff. So he started to heat up at the end, most definitely. Had a quiet championship game. Actually, that's a good point. I actually don't recall seeing him make any massive plays in the championship game. So I think that's fair. In all honesty, I might have gone lower, just because he didn't play that much. So I probably would have went a little bit lower, but he's still a phenomenal player. Devon Taylor 34 is wrong. I'm a massive Devon Taylor fan. If you watched any of this channel for the last year, you'll know that I'm a Devon Taylor fan. I've got him as I think he's a top 3 corner in this league. So I think 34 is way too low, personally. Especially considering the impact he actually had for the Raiders. Like, the Raiders were very simple. I know Ricardo will probably watch this back and be sad that I've not talked too much about the Raiders. But they were a very surprisingly good team. And their defense lost out on quite a lot of pieces, and they still maintained quite a lot. I really hope we see Devon Taylor back this year. Be wrong if we didn't. Raul, I was so happy that he was on this list, and he was, for me, an all-star player. He was probably the best tight end, actually, because he was consistent, and he played all the games and had the numbers, and was on a playoff team. So I think it's a fucking given, to be honest. He led all tight ends, I believe, in yards. Maybe in touchdowns, potentially, but he was everywhere. Let's have a look. I know that he was definitely around the top. Sup, Alex? Good to see you. Okay, but Moreno got more yards. Did he? Yes. But I still think that Raul Saneda was a massively underrated player, so I would have him. Yeah, he's fucking sick. So we've been through some of them. I think that Raul was probably my highest rated. Yeah, he was a really good player. Oh, that's a spoiler. So we've already been through a few. I thought that he would be higher. Foreign, I probably have lower. Just because he didn't play very much. David should definitely be higher than 32. I don't know how David's 32. He was the second or third best running back in the league. Probably third, let's be real. He was third. He had less yards per carry, less touchdowns, but he's still, and he had a few more attempts. But David is, and he had no fumbles actually, but only running back in the top 5 with no fumbles. He needs to be higher, in my opinion, than 32. I would have had him around the top 15. He was excellent this year. Jabrari, criminally underrated, career player. Happy retirement. I believe he was around the top for sacks. He's second or third. He was joint third with sacks. I think that's fair. He had a good year, just went under the radar because in throners. I'll be skimming through this. Milan Spirit 30 is fucking horrendous. I really don't know why he got 30. He got 1,000 yards. I would have had him above 30, my opinion. Kenzie, 29. I like Kenzie. One of the best middle linebackers probably in the league, especially homegrowns. I do not think he had a better season than Hugo, though. And I wouldn't have had him at 20. I would have had him a bit lower. I love Marius. But to have him above someone like Geyer or Spiller or Hugo in his position or Ludwig in his position, I'm a little bit surprised. Raji at 28, reasonable. He was everywhere. The problem is that he is so everywhere that he can kind of go a little bit unnoticed because he's just constantly moving around. So you don't see him because he's constantly moving around. But 28, I think is fair. He was 7 last year. Jesus. I think he had some injuries towards the end of the year as well, which I don't think helps his case, but he's definitely up there. Pierre, I was a little surprised is this high because he had 7 sacks in 12 games, but if I'm not mistaken, a lot of that was backloaded towards the end of the year. I think he had a slow start and then came back into the back. Let me have a look. And he's a great player. I have no doubt about it. But if I'm not mistaken, he had a slower start. Oh, I kind of am mistaken. I was near actually a slower end. So he started really hot. Actually, all of his 7 sacks came in the first 7 games. Was, you know, his 7, yeah. Well, a little bit of space. And then he didn't actually have that much of an end of the year day. So I probably would have had him a bit lower, especially above Milan on his team is a little odd. Luke Leonard at 26. That didn't even look like Luke in the picture, but he improved a lot from last year. I actually think he's a better football player than he was last year. I think he's 24, so he's still developing quite well. Because on the Dragons, I'm not sure if it was just schematical stuff, but he was not as good. And then this year he made a step up, in my opinion. So I think 26 is reasonable. I think the last year he was just really high up because he had a ton of tackles. But he was on a ton of tackles because his team wasn't very good. And then this year he didn't have to do as much because he was on a better team. But he showed that he was an improved player. So I think 26 is reasonable. I'm not mad at it. I'm not going to rant on that one. Chad Jeffries 25 I think is fair because he was around the top second or third for like most numbers in his position. Why is my fucking... I've got like 20 messages from one person. Holy shit. Okay. Where's Chad at? Because Chad had a good year. Yeah, so he's third for yards, 35 touchdowns, 6 picks. Can't really complain about that, can you? 10% of his throws going for touchdowns, which is around the top for those that actually played. A little bit less than Riley. But second in terms of that number. Probably the most efficient quarterback in the league. Him and Riley are both very efficient, but who would I say is more... Probably Riley's probably a little bit more efficient. He had a higher pass completion. Both of them had pretty simple schedules. And they both flew around the same balls, but both of them are incredibly efficient. So I'm not going to be, too pedantic about that. They're both great. I think 25 is fair. Yannick Van K, I'm so happy he was so high because he was so not talked about enough last year, like at all. And he was like among the most for sacks. So he had 8 sacks. He had 12 tackles for loss. Like, he was just a really good player. People didn't talk about him. He was a difference maker all year, so I'm happy he got 24. Ben Holmes at 23, I'd have... I think he had a great playoff run. Championship game, he had to push the ball downfield, so I'm not going to hold that against him too much because he was just he was losing the game and needed to push the ball downfield, so I'm not going to get him on for that. But he had a great year. A little bit hurt, so he missed a couple games. People in the comments are talking about that one. Let me move myself over here. Of course he is. But he was hurt, yeah. So with 12 games, would have been top 10. I agree. Also, what I need to get to do an engagement is just mention Ben, and you'll go crazy for it. He played 12 games, better numbers. He did have better numbers than some of the guys that played 12 games. That's fair, but not the ones that are higher than 23. Like, I don't think he had better numbers than Chad. But Chad hadn't... Yeah, Chad did have an easier schedule in terms of the, pre-season stuff, in terms of the, last year record, but I don't really count that. Because the years are so different. So, Ben played 10 games, Chad played 12. Chad was more accurate, had more yards, had 1 more touchdown, and had 1 more pick, but also played more games. And took a little bit more sacks. So that's not on him, that's more on the line. But I would have Chad a little bit higher up in terms of their actual season. I think I'd have Chad above Ben, although they're both phenomenal quarterbacks. Alexander Milanovic, 22. I would have a little bit higher. He's probably one of the best left tackles in the league. Yeah. You got Steven Nilsson. And then a little bit of a gap, and then Alexander and Sven and Keanu are the other 3 players that I have in that kind of realm. So I probably have him a little bit higher. He was also really good on a really good team, which helps. Devin Burrell, 21. Had a slow start in terms of his kick returning, but then got back to normal. Immediately back to normal. 3 kick-off returns, 1 punt return, so 4 touchdowns in total. He's Devin Burrell. Like, he was another special teams player of the year. I think that's reasonable for him to be 21. People were heated in the comments of this one, though. Yeah, people were pretty vexed. How do I feel about Frankfurt's out season? Pretty fucking good so far. So they got no quarterback announced. They don't have their running backs announced, but Thomas Fishback retired. And then they've got Keanu and Steven, which is probably, I want to say, like, the best tackle duo in the league. You could argue Milanovic and Holub. You could argue Sven and Arnold as well. But I think that Keanu and Steven is probably the best offensive tackle duo in the league. Just a phenomenal stuff. I'll look at that page in a minute. See if I missed anyone, because I'm sure they've signed someone else I haven't got on the board. Phil Simon, 20, should be higher. I agree with the comments of this. He was excellent. Top 2 and he ain't second. Well, he's not number 1. But I would say that he's above top 20. He's such a fucking good player. Ioannis, I would have... Where did Ioannis finish in sacks? He was I think he was second, right? Or am I completely wrong? Yeah, so he was second in sacks. Great year, especially coming off an injury. 3 breakups, 2 forced fumbles. I'm not mad at it. I think 19 is pretty reasonable. He's an excellent player. Oh yeah, and they've got Bart. They could have picked a better pitcher for Bart. Like, they kind of did him a little bit dirty with that one. William Lytle, 18, is low. I think he was the best interior lineman in the league, other than Mulumba. There's no help over those are not in the top, 15. Like, Williams at 18 is not too high off. The fact that Chris is so low is a travesty. Sven at 17, I'm happy with. Great left tackle. Love Sven. Phenomenal player. No question that he's a top player in the league. Maybe I would go a little bit higher, but I think they had a little bit slow season at the start of Ryan. Their pass protection took a minute to get ready, if I'm not mistaken, because Jay took a couple of sacks early. Now, their interior line was on it from the start, and if I'm not mistaken, it took us a couple of games. Like, we saw it a few times where Jay was getting pressured early. But that's not just on Sven, I'm just making a statement. Carey at 16, second best running back in the league this year. I said that he was going to have a breakout year, and I was right because he's a phenomenal player, and I knew that. I got no questions to him being at 16. John Falk at 15, Mr. Everywhere. He was great this year. I think probably a little bit higher than 15, considering he's probably the best linebacker outside of Asia. Mario Williams at 14. I probably have a little bit lower, just because people avoided him so much. Like, there's nothing against Amari. He's probably one of the best, if not the best, safeties in the league. But he wasn't among the league's highest for interceptions, because people just stopped looking at him, to be honest. So I would probably have Amari a little bit lower. These numbers aren't correct. I'd have Amari a little bit lower, personally. But he's still excellent. 13. Wait, did I skip someone? No, I didn't. Markel, 13. Fair. Very good. Dominant player. Just excellent. Don't really need to talk about him too much. Riley at 12. Reasonable. I had the easier schedule. So I'm a bit surprised there's a pretty big gap between Riley and Chad, considering had pretty identical years. But it's just a statement. Dawson Dale's at 11. Forgot about Dawson Dales, my bad. I was saying about our best linebacker outside of AJ, and I didn't even mention Dawson, but Dawson's definitely in there too. And he even held down the offense a little bit. I think 11 is reasonable, I'm not mad at it. Raheem at 10. I honestly might even go higher with Raheem. He was so good. And he got 6 interceptions in 10 games. And a touchdown, and a forced fumble, and a block kick. Like, he was ridiculously good. So I probably have maybe Raheem in the top 5. Like, I think of him that highly. I've not seen Fettig yet. I think he's a little bit higher. Austin Mitchell at 9. Phenomenal returner. Great receiver. One of the best debut games in ELF history. Quieted down a little bit and then came back up towards the end of the year. So Good pick. Doncor at 8, yes. Fettig at 7. They're around the same, I think. I probably would have had like that. That's a tough one to pick between those two. But maybe I would have Raheem just above just because of the interception numbers. Aaron Jackson at 6, yep, led the league. I probably would have Aaron above Reese. Actually, would I? No, maybe I wouldn't actually, because Reese had 3 touchdowns in the championship game, so I'm happy with that. Kitchen's at 4. I probably would have swapped these two. I probably would have swapped AJ and Kitchens around, but you can't really go wrong with either of them. And then Zach at 2 and Glenn at 1, I am A-okay with. No questions, because they're all phenomenal. Let me look at Frankfurt. Because they've definitely made more than just those 2 signs. So you got Keanu, we knew about, we talked about. Oh yeah, they got Kaya back too. Great sign. Love that sign. Because he's such a good receiver. People didn't really talk about him that much, but he's probably the best French receiver last year. Very safe hands as well. I like him a lot. So, good move. They got Dimmy in as well. I'm not going to try and butcher the last name, my bad, but great inside line player. I need to watch a bit more tape with him. He's a player that I have not watched a massive amount of tape on. I need to watch more, especially when I start doing my interior line gradings. Shit, maybe I'll watch some of that today. But the people that I've spoken to speak very highly of him, so I need to watch that back. But Steven, obviously, the head coach has got a lot of experience. Let me quickly check over that. Because he was, I believe, kind of everywhere for a while. Right, let's count like everything after 2010. So, OC, spent time with the Rams, Spring League, Philadelphia Stars head coach. So he might know Devin Taylor, potentially. I'm not sure if that would have been in the same year. Maybe not. And now he's at Frankfurt. He's also experienced the general manager, which was interesting. And he's a World Bowl champ, which I forgot. I forgot about that. Yeah, so, offensive coordinator for the Ryan Fire, World Bowl ring with the Ryan Fire, which is interesting. Very interesting. And then he went to the Admirals. And then, wait, what? Oh, okay. okay. So he was at the Admirals for a while. Yeah, Devin Taylor. I would like to see that. I'd like to see Devin Taylor get paid. I think that would be a very good move. Brian Scott. Hold on, let me look that up. Let's see what we got here. Brian Scott. Was he a Stars guy? Okay, he's an Argonauts guy. Ah, yeah, makes sense. He's kind of bounced around. He's been on the practice squad. So that's a big thing. Is he's just won a Grey Cup as well. So maybe he wants to play a little bit more. Played pretty decent in the USFL. Not bad college numbers. Well, no, that's rushing. Yeah, not bad college numbers. Let's see if I can find some tape on him. Is this a highlight reel or is this just...
And Paul, anytime there is a league like this with the USFL, you're going to be looking at guys who have an opportunity to show out. Okay, and that's not the...
Well, he did draft him. I think honestly that's a pretty good call. If they can get him over, I think that would make a lot of sense. That would be definitely something. I think this year's QB class is going to be like really interesting. I'm so excited to see it. There's so many moves that have happened already. And they're still posting a lot of their German guys, so I'm hoping they kind of lock down Here they go. Also, with Instagram, it says I'm not following them, but I am. I am following the teams that I report on for a job. But yeah, I think they've had a good off-season so far. Can't really complain with it when they've got two of the best offensive linemen in Europe. I would say that's a success thus far. I think he's been, like, I really want to see what Cologne have been doing. Because people have been talking a lot about Cologne. Like, that's been a main story, I think, so far. So they just haven't really posted anything for 3 weeks. I didn't realize it had been that long. I'm going to be real. I don't know where they've been. They also went 7 weeks between those posts. So hopefully Cologne can start posting again. But that is a bit... I didn't realize it had been that long, honestly. That's not great, is it? I thought it would be a little bit earlier than that. Okay, that's not good, actually. I didn't realize it had been that long. Shit. We do have a lot of signings so far, and I also need to look at the IFL draft. Because they did a draft last night. And we got a couple guys who have been drafted. So I thought it would be good to look at some of these guys. See if we can find any of their tape. Let me get my board up real quick. Alright. Let's move this over here. Here's the board. Don't need that permanently here. We can keep most of the screen on this. But just so we can go back and forth. Because I'm not very technically proficient when it comes to stuff like this. I'm just winging it. But with the first pick, like first drafted pick, right? In probably... Is it European history? Have we had a draft in the European history before? I don't really know. I can't recall seeing a draft in Europe before. And they drafted this dude. So let's see what he's got. Actually, he's just uploaded if that's Westfield State, which it looks like it is, given the W on the helmet. West State Owls, shout out. Right. Is the sound coming through on there? My sound ain't coming through on here, but... Offensive plays. Okay. Fucking hell, he's coming in with a head full of steam, isn't he? But he's naturally a D-tackle, I'm assuming, with 99. But this is just his offensive stuff. Let me pause this real quick. He is a D-tackle, right? Let me also search his name up, see if I can get some college stuff. Here he is, Westfield State Owls. So he's a linebacker? Okay. Interesting. I don't know. We'll see if he actually lines up at linebacker or if it's more of just like a placeholder name. But he's playing offense, special teams, and defense, which is very impressive, first and foremost. He's got a high motor. You don't really see very many D-tackles play special teams, so he probably is a linebacker. I was usually used to seeing 99 on the interior. We also said he's 250, which would be on the bigger side for a linebacker. So most of his highlights so far have been special teams or on fullback. But it said he had some decent stats from before. Here we go. Is what I want. Okay, there he is on the edge. Active hands. You know, sort of swim at the end there. Currently needs down strength, next level strength. He definitely looks like he has shorter punch separation. But that swim move is nasty. There's a couple times seen that already. You do it again. No, push, pull. Gets tackle out. But yeah, punch separation is definitely a thing. I'm not sure about how good his get off really is. But he's definitely a high effort player. He's going to the whistle, that's for damn sure. Okay, that get off was a little bit better. Again, high motor all the way to the sideline. So look at this get off again. It's fine. I wouldn't say it's elite. Just off of these plays. Right. I think I can add that to my board as a D tackle. Or D line rather. Welcome to my D line board. You can see most of it. Okay. So Dylan, because there are no rules, as far as I'm aware, about players that want to go from ELF or IFL to ELF or ELF to IFL. So if I move myself over here real quick, just so you can actually see what I'm fully doing. Okay, so what team to get drafted toward the Lions, right? Yes. Which is in the IFL. He was drafted, so he's American. There we go. Oh, shit, this team he's at now. He was previously at Westfield State. Cool. Right, Westfield State University. He was 6'2", 250 from his college thing. Don't have his age. But I'll copy his stats and stuff into this as well. We're going to add his tape. And then as for our quick pros, so we add high motor. Oh shit, the bed. High motor. Quick hands. Nice swim. And then negatives was shorter punch separation. And average get off. And then grade wise, here's what we got to do with the grade. So for D, because he's primarily at the end, is he an elite star on your left team? I don't think so. Is he a key star on your left team? I don't think so. Is he a starter on your left team? Probably, yeah. So I think he's probably about 3.5. I wouldn't say he's any better than Alessandro Fernandez. So I'm going to put him as a 3.5. And because he's 6 foot and he has that shorter punch separation, I've gone LA. No, an LD, which is just a length disadvantage, basically, for the position average. Happy days. Right, that's the fun. We'll like that one just to be nice. Right, so that's the first pick in the Rome Institute draft, which is kind of wild, I can't lie. He's class of 2001. I think they've done a class a bit different, but nevertheless. Pick 2, which is Logan Hansen. Let's have a look at where he is. Second pick in the draft. See what we can find out about him. Logan Hansen, is it this dude? That doesn't look like Logan Hansen. Sadly, it doesn't say much about... Oh, there we go. No, he's not even tagged. Fuck. Huh. Let me type in like the Pirates or IFL draft. He might be a running back. He doesn't look like a running back. I guess he could be. Is it this dude? He just finished the senior season. Might be this dude. I can't really tell. I don't think it is. Right, we will come back to that, Goot, because he doesn't have as much available when I search up his name. Scouting tip, if I can't find you when I'm searching up your name, that's a problem. Need to be able to at least find you fairly easily. His name is Juan Williams. That's different. I've never heard anyone called Juan before. But they've got to wear number 1, surely, right? Juan Williams, Howard, receiver. Add him in to the board. Right, Juan Williams. He is not IPP eligible. He is an American receiver playing in the IFL, formerly of Howard. He was 170, I saw that, 6 foot, which is undersized, so I'm going to add an XD straight away for, no, not XD, that's experience, ZD for size disadvantage. Actually, no, I'll put BD, which is bulk disadvantage. Is he tagged? No. Okay, and he's went to the... I'm not going to try and pronounce that because the Italians will come for me if they ever watch this video and see me try and pronounce things wrong. Ferrara. There we are. So he was the first receiver taken off the board. Let's grab his numbers. In 4 games, only caught 1 pass. That was last year. Did he do anything this year? Not really. Is there going to be any tape from him? Because he didn't play much, so I doubt it. See a hurdle profile from when he was in high school. Some of my old accounts and stuff. I don't have a login. Fuck. Hold on, no, I can't copy that. Let me go into Huddle, or maybe you'll be on ESPN. Yeah, it looks kind of like him. 5 years ago would make sense. I'm not going to add it in because I don't like going off a 5-year tape. But this looks like it probably is him. Let me move myself out of the way. I just got in the way. Love that for me. Again, old tape. We don't really... He does it quick, but this, again, 5 years. So I'm not going to count it. Jeez, camera focus. I mean, his routes look fine. He just looks like a speedster. He's definitely more of a speedster. Well, he was when he was in high school. We don't know if he still is now. Probably is if he's kept that. We don't want to go off that too much. However, Mr. Williams on our board. We'll wait until we get some proper tape. Why do they keep doing that? Weird. We'll wait until we get some proper tape before we can really evaluate him properly. And then Warriors, the draft Spencer. I am surprised we haven't seen a quarterback go yet. Because these don't count towards the... it's an additional American spot. It doesn't count towards their other spots. This one was a popular one. Spencer Burke, what position is he? Wait, what? First pick for a team already in the IFL 2024. By 2025, it'll be the Warriors Bognia. Okay, weird. But Spencer Burke. Potentially this guy? It looks like that guy. What position is he? Doesn't say what position he actually is. Weird. Let's have a look at Sacred Heart there. Defensive lineman, there we go. So he's a D lineman. 6'2", 210 D line. Okay. Lineman. Spencer Burke. No, America. D end. Sacred Heart. That was last season, so this year is in the IFL. So if he is 6'2", 210, I'm going to put another BD next to his name for bulk. I mean, he could be a rocked up 210, but we have to see. What's up, Harlan? How you doing, bro? We're reviewing some of the players from the IFL draft. We're doing some research into them. First draft in probably European history. Maybe, I don't know, because European history is weird. We got a couple already in so far. However, he's not massive for a D lineman, and there's probably not going to be any tape because he didn't play in college. Alright, we're not going to be able to find much on him unless he's tagged up. Nope. Right, go on the board. But we do not know too much about him. Unless he drops into the chat, because that'd be pretty fucking funny. Right, for number 4, 5? I can't remember what pick we're even on. Shit, I didn't put what team Spencer actually played for this year. Warriors. Excellent. Calm. So this is basically kind of a day in the life of what I do. Austin Anderson, next guy up. I really wish they put like the positions for who they actually just drafted. That would be better. Right, let's see if we can find anything on this dude. Libby Flames, offensive lineman. Doesn't particularly look like an offensive lineman. That's definitely not him. I don't think it's him. I think they have to have graduated this year. They're definitely all younger guys. Or straight out of, neither. They're grad students, basically. That's why they're studying in Rome. It definitely ain't him. Unless he uses the wrong picture. Interesting. Some of these guys are hard to find. There's not much on this guy. Keep checking, make sure people aren't fucking breaking in. Okay, see what position Austin Anderson is. Let's just move on with him. Alright, this guy looks like a running back the way he's holding the ball. I'm hoping it's a little bit easier to find. Right, there we go. So he's already tagged, so we already know who he is. Stunning. This is what we want. This is what we want. We know he's a running back / receiver. Let's add him in. Finally up over 100 running backs. That was one of the positions I had the least of. I've been trying to add a couple more into it, but I'm actually finally happy we got a fucking new one. Right, what's his actual full name? Right, let's add him in. He is not eligible. Okay, Isaiah done. Right, running back receiver. And where do you play? So he's from Los Angeles. Shit. But does it say anything more about him? Not really. Is it? Yeah, it's not going to be him now, is it? If it is, I'm sure he would be the first pick. Well, he shares a name with someone. That's never easy. What jersey is that? Long Beach. Let's put Long Beach. Nope. No. Nothing on him either. Put a highlight reel in your bio, man. It helps me a lot. I really wish players would put more highlight reels in their bios. Or comment on posts they're tagged in. Makes my life a lot easier. But he's going to be playing for Lazio. Lazio Marines don't have his former team. But I felt it's going to be a really fucking good league this year. It's going to be fun. Hold up, phone. Ex-All-American, yeah? William Reed will be back. I think that's maybe just a translation issue. But if he is an All-American, why did he go so late? Potentially this dude. Does not look like him at all. Does not look like him at all. And he's a freshman, so it definitely is not him. Huh. That ain't him. Yeah, not commenting on anything. Make yourself easy to find. If you want to play in Europe, make yourself easy to find. It says all Americans. We just Google that. 2020 would line up in terms of times. Does it physically have a picture of him? Jesus Christ, that sounds like a fucking war thing. He don't look like Lyman. He wouldn't be doing a catching pose if he was. Right, our last attempt. See if it's Will Reed. It is not Will Reed. We're moving on. We're moving on. You're not going on the boards, bro. Because I can't even find what position you play. If you're not a quarterback, I'm going to be furious. If Parker Richardson is not a quarterback, I'm going to be furious. Why do you have him throwing the ball? He's throwing off my equilibrium if he's not a quarterback. That's the coach. Quarterback. Hold on. Nope, nothing at all. Fun. Alright, they've added him. Hold on. I've got the Rome Institute here. So he is a quarterback. We know that. Let's add him in. Just as long as we know his position, we can add him in. Should have still got Holland on them. I need to change that. Netherlands, not Holland. Right. So I can add in all of those positions actually because they have them tagged. So Parker Richardson, shit, in the wrong area. He's not IPP, he's American, he's a quarterback, he's going to be playing for Ancuna. And Konya Dolphins. No highlight reel. Fuck. The CSA is on the actual Rome Institute and any of these guys. Not really. Well, there's Burke. And there's Anderson. How many do they have at this combine? Because there's a couple guys at this dude that didn't go. So he didn't get picked up. He did. He's a running back. Did we add him in? Yeah, we did, right? No, we might not have. No, we didn't because we couldn't find out where he was. So that's Austin. So he was drafted, but we couldn't find what position he was, so I added him back in. He's going to Frogs again, which is probably, honestly, the best place to go at this point. But they also have this dude too, so running back room's kind of stacked up. He's apparently a former All-American. Is he tagged? He is tagged. What's with these ats, by the way? Like, not easy to find. Add him in. Okay, this is still Institute. Yeah, so here's some footage of the combine. Which actually I'm very interested to see what it looked like. I mean, those practice jerseys are kind of fire though. I quite like them. So had all the coaches in. It doesn't look like it was. There looks like quite a lot of players who weren't drafted, but it's the Rome. So all of these guys are in Rome anyway, studying. So not a lot of them are going to be, you know, the guys that they're going after for the IFL anyway, because the IFL is such a fucking good league. like low-key one of the better leagues in Europe. Like IFL's fun. And the graphics are all sick. Look at this. It's awesome. We got a few guys like Gasparo. Like, what the fuck? I know he probably, I'm not sure if he does, I don't know. But he might have an ELF like clause. If he does have ELF clause, then he's just taken one of the best interior linemen. Or definitely one of the better centres, because there are not a ton of centres in the ELF. That's crazy. And Destiny, also a really, really good. Is he on my board? I know he's on my board, but I don't think I've got him updated. I might have missed it. He went to the Rhinos. Let me alphabeticalize this, so it's already done. Shit, I actually didn't have him at Milan or Rhinos. Loki, it's kind of a big deal. He's a good player. It's a shame for Seaman to lose out on him. I mean, they've lost a lot of guys. Like, there's most of the guys, I think. This dude's really, really fucking good, by the way. If you don't know who he is, please do make sure you check up on him. He's a very good player. Obviously, going to be on one of my underappreciated things. But alas, let's add a couple more in. Hello, Martin. Good to see you. How are you doing? Hope you are well. We've added in players from the IFL draft. We are going to... Has the French League started announcing signings yet? Because I just need to keep adding to my boards. And if people announce signings, I can add them to my boards. Also, French League graphic designer. I don't know who it is, but this shit's fucking awesome. Like, one of the best graphic pages, like, in Europe. I love the French League. But I don't think any of the teams have officially announced the players as of yet. Because they've been busy with international football. So I imagine a lot of their players have not started playing yet. But from what I see, no evidence of it. No. Now look at these graphics, man. Like, some ELF teams need to take advantage of this. Because some ELF teams' graphic design are not good. Get the person that does this one to do like the mercenary stuff. I think you'd be laughing. Because the mercenaries, I don't mean to bully the mercenaries. But their graphic design ain't great. I think they could definitely do better with that. Oh, I gotta put Big Mike in too. I haven't put Big Mike's re-signing in. Let me put him back into the ELF. Here we are. Stunning. Because he's a fucking dog. Right, you know what I do need to do for a bit? Is watch some of this O-line tape. Because I have kind of some indication of who I'm going to have at the top of it for this graphic. But not all of them. I think someone like Adachi is slept on. But I'm just doing ELF for that one, so I need to figure out. There's so many underrated offensive linemen. Like, there's so many good ones out of Finland at the moment. It's actually distressing. Like Victor Askalov's an absolute weapon. Obviously, I just made the post about Sampo. There's so many good players, but I need to do that when I'm not on stream. But I think now that we've wrapped up the IFL draft, we've taken a look at the top 50 from the league. I think we could probably call that a decent stream. Don't want to keep these too long because I know some people do like to go back and watch them later. So I like to keep them about an hour. So I'll see you guys later. Much appreciated. I'll see you. I'm hopefully going to have a video very soon on just talking about some of the tape of the underappreciated guys. And then I need to do some evaluations. I'm working on something with the league that would make the evaluations a little bit more professionalized. So I don't want to like make them and then they're a little bit not very good, and then when I do get this stuff done with the league, then then it gets better, and that person has missed out on a better evaluation because of that. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on, but we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you everyone for stopping by.